Welcome back to OC Outdoorsman. Out with me today is Glenn and Cesar. As you can see out there on my starboard side, we're taking Glenn out to the kelp beds for the first time. And the target species today is California Sheepshead. We're still inside the harbor and you can see Cesar holding up an alligator clip. He will be creating something similar to what I use while we're out there. Just tie a piece of paracord to that clip and use it to latch onto the surface kelp. You can see Glenn has something similar. He has some kind of a clamp tied to some bungee, but they all serve the same purpose, to keep you in place while you're out there on top of the kelp forest. It's a lot better, much more effective than throwing out an anchor. Anchors are often lost in the thick kelp. On the way out to the kelp beds, you can see on my fish finder, the water temperature is a bit warm at 67.8 degrees at a depth of about 48 feet. And here we've arrived. You could see on my fish finder the kelp forest right there, and if you look at the surface of the water, you can actually see some of that kelp. This is ideal habitat for California sheepshead and a lot of other marine life. Perfect place to fish. I land the first fish of the day. It's a undersized California sheepshead. And I let this guy go right away. And back to back I catch a second sheephead not too long after this. And it too is undersized, so this one gets released. I've cast out a shrimp that gets slammed on the descent, and even though this is an undersized calico bass, there's a big difference in the bite of these fish. A California sheepshead will just nibble on the bait. You can barely feel it, and then you set the hook. When a bass hits it, it just slams the bait and takes off with it. These fish are so fun to catch. This next fish is a bit smaller. It is an ocean whitefish, and because he's on the smaller side, I just let him go. Now I'm switching tactics using lighter line, a 3/4 ounce sliding egg sinker attached to a number 4 mosquito hook. You can see I've caught a blacksmith perch here, which I will use for bait. The last time I did this, I hooked into something big, but by the time I reeled it in, he had already taken the body. The only thing that was left was the perch's head. Here is a jack smelt or grunion. Caught him using crappie bites as bait. That is a freshwater bait, but they seem to love it. So he's going in the bait tank. So I rebait the hook with more crappie bites, throw it over, and it immediately gets slammed by a decent sized mackerel that you're seeing here. Now realize, although I caught him on crappie bites, you can catch mackerel on just about anything. They're very aggressive. I caught them on shrimp, squid, you name it. They'll go for it. Not a very picky fish, very easy to catch. Switching back to shrimp, I catch another ocean whitefish. Now this guy's a bit on the small side, so I'm letting him go. I have a shrimp sitting on the bottom, which gets inhaled by a baby sculpin. So this guy, again, you have to be careful with these fish since their spines are venomous. Avoid touching them if you can. I always use either forceps or pliers to just shake them off the hook. I'll never manually touch these fish. I feel that subtle tap on my line and I set the hook, and up comes a female California sheepshead. This is decent size for a female, which they tend to be smaller, so I'm going to measure them just to be sure. Remember, the legal limit or size is 12 inches minimum to keep, 12 inches or larger, and this one is right at 1 foot, so this is indeed a keeper. This next fish put up a fight. I sped up the footage because he kept pulling away. As you can see as I bring him in, this is a mature bull sheephead with the prominent black head and black tail. He measured it at 14.5 inches. I've sped up the footage here as I bring up the Mirage Drive and approach the landing point. I'm about to start paddling in. And as you can see, the color is really off. I'm going to have to take a look at my GoPro settings and fix that, so apologize. But the color is a bit off. I'm dragging in the kayak here and getting ready to unload. Now I get to bring in all the loose items. So here I'm bringing in the fishing poles along with the Mirage Drive. I'm going to get the rest of the live well and the other loose items so that I could flip the Yak on its side and plug in the wheels or the cart. Here I'm taking the live well back. Just about done here. I'm ready to drag the kayak back to my truck. Not sure what happened to Glenn and Cesar. They were right behind me. Guess I'll just have to wait a little bit. Eventually Glenn does show up. Thanks you guys for watching, and please be sure to like and subscribe.